not. All right, let me get a couple things ready. Get this situated here. All right, I'm gonna do one thing before we get this started. Give you guys a quick little lesson, actually. So if you guys can do me one solid. All right, let me see this right here. All right, I don't know what you're doing over there. Nancy's taking a picture of me, I guess. But check this out, guys. So I'm gonna go ahead, and I actually just posted a reel. So let's see if you guys can hear this. Looks like you can. Maybe we'll do this.
Quality of decisions that you make, not by the amount of time that you put into it. All of our life, we've been programmed to think about making money by how much time we put in. So shifting this perspective is absolutely non-negotiable. Remember, the market pays you by the quality of decisions that you make, not by the amount of time that you put into it. All of our life, we've been programmed to think about making money by how much time we put in. So shifting this perspective is absolutely non-negotiable. Remember the—
All right, cool. So the reason I share that with you, one, because if you got some value from that, and if you're going to get some value from this right now, then I would genuinely appreciate it if you guys interacted with that reel, if you shared if you shared it, commented, whatever, all that good stuff. But let's go ahead and get into today's session. I have some value that goes directly with what you guys go through every single day. So today we're going to be talking about how to trade in a social environment. So every single person here, literally us just being on this Zoom call right now, it's a social learning environment, and we're all learning how to do what? How to trade, invest, and we're trading through different markets, different styles, metals, forex, indices, a whole bunch of things, scalpers, intraday traders, swing traders, position traders. So we have everything under the sun going on right now. And what I want to know from you guys, and the more engagement, the more I get out of you guys, the better. So I really appreciate if you guys interact, if you guys are involved. But what I will say is this, like, I need you guys to let me know in the chat, right? Let me know in the chat, what are some of the things that you might struggle with when you're, in the chats in the mornings, maybe London session, Asian sessions. So when you're going through the trading process, your pre-trading routine, New York open, markets moving, what are some of the things that you guys might have a hard time with? You're looking at the charts, you think you see something, and then someone that you look up to, they're like, you're like, man, this sell looks perfect. And you're about to take that sell. And then someone that, someone that you look up to is like, man, I'm about to buy. And you're just like, yeah, me too. That's exactly what I saw. So I know it's happened to a lot of us. I know that it can be hard, and I'm going to give you clarity today, right? I'm going to really break it down so that you're able to take your own decisions, follow your own trades. You're able to do a whole bunch of things that make sense to you. And so this is something that I struggle with quite a bit. And I'll start this off with a little bit of a story and kind of part of why I'm sharing this with you guys today. And I remember back when I started trading, I was just super coachable. Like, I knew I didn't know anything. And that was useful. But some people come in here and they're just like, hey, I don't know anything, and that's okay. Some people come into this and they're like, I know everything. And then, like, so there's different people. And, over time, you gain to really respect some people in the space, right? There's people who are always sending their charts. That seems like they're confident, they're veterans in the space. They've definitely been doing this longer than you have. So we start to, just really value their opinion and their respect. And I remember all of the time, there's this one guy, right? This one guy, he definitely flies solo now, but his name is Justin, and kid's a genius. But he would send markups, and it's like, it was like, that was like biblical. That's kind of how it felt at the time, right? No, no, not Starboy. Before Starboy's time. And his name is Justin Arroyo from Connecticut, beast. And I remember, you know, we would trade together, and he had started before I had. So I definitely, I just respected him, you know, and I still respect him. But I remember there was a moment where I started, yeah, Dom, as you know, 2016, 2017, y'all know some of that. And I remember there came a moment where I started to have my own chart setups, my own markups. And this is like 2016, 2017. And I was like, do I send this? Like, do I even, like, this goes completely against what he's sending out. And I wouldn't do it. And then, it got to a point where I would kind of send it privately to a couple people that were like really close. And, some of them would win, some of them would lose. But all of a sudden I was like, yo, like, sometimes I'm right and he's wrong. And that happens here with me. You guys are going to get some things right. And, I might not hit TP on that. And it actually goes more in your direction than mine. But in the time, it felt so, one, I almost felt like disrespectful, but two, I just didn't really have the confidence. And there came a moment, and the reason I was able to kind of get to this point was because I started to just kind of take my own trades, right? I started to do things, and then I realized there is no right answer in the market. And that's what allowed me to start to share the same charts, right? To start to share that it would be the same, like, Euro USD or GBP USD. And I realized I was the only one that really cared whether it was right or wrong. Other people already, since they had more experience, they realized, oh, like, yeah, of course, you're going to have a different idea. We have different approaches, and some of us are going short term, some of us are going long term. So there wasn't too much ego. And I was too focused on it when everyone else kind of understood that. And your trading circle might not be as mature. Now, this is now almost 8 years ago, but it was such a liberating feeling when I was like, you know what? I'm able to actually just take my trades or share my idea. And I would rather share and get feedback than be hiding behind a what if. And so what I don't want you guys to do in a social trading environment, don't hide from the lessons, right? Don't dim, don't dim your light because of the unknown. You're here as a student to take as much information as you possibly can from people that have more exposure to the environment. So it's absolutely okay to share your thoughts, to share your ideas. And I challenge you, go get it wrong. Go be wrong. Go get markups wrong. Go have someone absolutely obliterate your chart and go, this is not what that is. Fibonacci's upside down. That's what they told me. Never forget that. Your structure, you have this and that. What you want, that's what you want. You want someone to tell you, hey, it's okay. Like, these things that you probably have wrong, and that's fine. Because guess what, guys? There's not a single person that ever started learning trading and knew everything they had to do. Nobody. Oh yeah, my fib upside down. Believe that. I'll never forget that. There wasn't even Telegram or Discord. This was a Facebook Messenger, and I got absolutely roasted 2016. And it was just so funny. I literally remember there was the laughing emoji. I can like see the text thread still. And literally it was like the reply, laughing emojis. Yo, your fib is upside down. Caps, LOL. It was a very savage chat back then. No remorse whatsoever. But one, I was definitely ready for it. And two, guess what? Never drawn my Fibonacci upside down in the last 8 years. So I remembered. But in terms of judgment, it's not that you want to be criticized, but at the end of the day, what are we here to do? We're here to save ourselves what? Energy, time, money. And so if someone has to absolutely body you online, then so be it. But at the end of the day, we are in a more mature community, and a lot of people are really receptive and they know how to communicate. Well, most know how to communicate. So it's going to be okay, right? And so, but the reason I'm doing this is because we are in a setting where there's going to be different perspectives. There's going to be different types of energy. There will be different biases, and you can be influenced. And I'll talk about really, where are you in your journey if you are being influenced? And some of you might not like what I'm going to say in a little bit, but I do think it's important to say. Now, to start, really, guys, remember that other people's chart work, other people's trades, it's just perspective for you, okay? That's not meant for you to go and execute. So just because you're getting an idea, that's all it is. It's not law. It's not that it will be right all 100% of the time. It's just like, here's my perspective. You know, here's what they believe. And you have to share your beliefs in this space, because eventually what you're getting to is there's really phases in learning here. And there's two major phases. Well, there's really three. The first phase is, you know that you don't know much. So you're just a sponge, right? You're taking in different chart work, and you'll kind of get to know who's been doing it for a while and who's still in process. But that's the goal. Phase one is you have no strategy, you have no entry, exit, trade management, trade risk management, no strategy, and you're in the phase where you're just exploring, experimenting, finding out what even is out there, learning through the live sessions, going through strategies, going through boot camps, plugging in every day, communicating in your chats, but you don't even have a real strategy yet, okay? This is the majority of people. This is kind of where they're at. Eventually, this could be 6 months, a year, 2 years in, you're at a point where, okay, I think I know my strategies. I think this one is kind of making sense for entries. This is for exits. These are the pairs or the indices that I like. And all of a sudden you kind of start to form something. So then you're kind of in phase two of your education, where it's like your experimentation phase, where this is my plan. I don't know if it works 100% yet. I don't know if this is profitable, but I have to find out. And that's kind of where you shelter more of your mindset in terms of execution. Like, you're still receptive to learning, and you're like, oh, that chart, that's a good chart. I would have missed that. And you're still taking a lot in. But in terms of what you actually execute in your trading account, demo reel, it doesn't matter what it is. That's going to be more so on the strategy that you have built for yourself. And now you're finding out if it works or not. The problem is that because you can be in a social environment, you're being influenced by everybody. And don't be the person that is willing to win by someone else's trade, but doesn't take responsibility for the loss that comes from their trade too. Because if you can't lose by someone else's trade and take the responsibility as your own, then look, you got a long way to go. And that's okay, because you're going to go through that phase first. But eventually you will have to go into a phase where, hey, it's all on you. It's all on you. So if you're not willing, for example, if you see a chart and you like it, you're like, yo, that's good. That's a good chart. And then you go and you take the trade because you're like, yeah, I like this, makes sense. I'm going to take a trade. But then that becomes a loss. If you felt like that wasn't your fault and it was somebody else's, you're in the wrong. So learning how to take every single trade that goes through your own trading account, that's your responsibility. Doesn't matter where the idea came from, the execution came from you. So you have to understand that at the end of the day, it will come down to you, because you are the only one and will be the only one that gets affected in terms of the outcome of that setup. But now I want to go back, because there are different phases in this process. And the social setting can honestly save you years, if not decades, but you need to know how to do it right. All right, you need to learn how to do this properly. So, right, in the first year, for the most part, you're really going to surrender yourself to mentorship, right? In the first year, you're really going to just let go and allow yourself to be guided. For some of you, it's going to be very difficult because for whatever reason, sometimes it's confidence, sometimes it's ego. But most of the time it's because we just want to see things. We just want to see the money now. And it's funny because it's people with 10 times, 100 times more experience than you will tell you, hey, don't expect, quick results. And, you got to allow yourself to learn and all of these great advice. But then we're like, I hear you, but no, I will need the money now, And so it's like, you're asking, hey, what's 1 + 1? And they're telling you 2, but you just want someone to tell you that it's 3. Like you really want someone to tell you that it's 3. And you're going to keep doing the same thing until someone just is like, you know what, fine, it's 3. Like, thank you. Right. And so in this process, guys, as you're, locking in your strategy and you're building evidence in order to build confidence, and you're going through the chart work and you're going through the community, you need to ask yourself a key question is, who am I really listening to? And are they qualified to give me perspective? Key thing, because just because it's conversation doesn't always mean it's advice. And people confuse this a lot. There's a lot of confusion around here. Just because you're having conversation does not mean that someone is giving you advice, or are they qualified to give you advice? So be really conscious of who you're learning from throughout the process. And here's the thing, look, you may have a completely different trading plan. So this is what's going to happen. You guys might have the same entry, but your exit might be completely different. So all of a sudden, someone's winning, but you're losing, and it's because their exit was earlier than yours was, and or the way they manage their trade is completely different. So I'll give you guys a good example. I mean, just I think it was just today, right? Just today in our own house right now, it's myself, Nancy, my brother, and my dad. We're all trading New York Open, the 4 of us, under this, and literally in the same room. Think about it like this: we're all in the same room. And throughout the trading day, we took, I think there was one setup that we basically all took, and we all had completely different outcomes. Every single one of us had a completely different outcome, right? I locked in, I think it was a 3-to-1. Someone else took partials, market reverse. They ended up only getting, somewhat of their position. Someone else missed their entry. So we had completely different things. But because we're all veteran traders, the fact that we all had completely different results under the same roof with the same setup showed that we all actually traded our own plan. And the fact that maybe I had the best result today doesn't mean that I am a better trader or worse trader. All it means that today mine played out. But tomorrow, Nancy's plan that might include partials, she might end up actually getting more out of the market than I would, because I don't take partials. So perspective is what you're getting more than anything from the market, rather than always just trying to be right. So because you might have different plans, you have to understand that in a social setting. Now, at the end of the day, just because you see a good chart, it doesn't mean to blindly take a trade. It's that when you see a setup, a chart markup, that's just a cue for you to investigate for yourself. That's that's a trigger for you to go mark it up. Go draw it up yourself. See if it makes sense to you or it doesn't. See if it passes your confirmation checklist. Maybe you need one more thing when that person, they don't. And here's the thing, you might have different expectations. So here are the 3 main expectations that could be different when you're in a social setting. The duration of a trade. You might be a scalper intraday trader. You're looking for 2 risk reward, 3 risk reward. Cool. You might be in the markets for maybe 30 minutes, an hour. Someone else might be looking to be in the market for way longer. So their stop loss might be way bigger than yours would be. So their market needs to travel a lot more. That's something that happened today, right? My brother and I, we both took a NAS sell. He's looking for a swing trade. I was looking for an intraday trade. It is what it is, right? I was able to get money out of the market this morning on that trade. He ended up going break even. That was just today. That swing trade setup, that's paid him out really well when I wasn't able to, when I ended up, got out early, and he ended up having a way bigger trade because he just held it. So it's just different situation in different moments. Someone asked, how often should you experiment to know your plan is solid? The goal really is, can you get 50 to 100 trades following exactly your plan, right? If you can get a month, 2 months, a quarter, you have a really good perspective on what you're doing works. And there's different parts of your plan that might work well. So you might have good entries, but your exits suck. And that's a whole other training for a different day. And I'll get into that in a bit. But what I want to go over again is this social trading environment. So your risk to reward might be different. The risk percentage might be different. So there might be someone in that. There's always a couple people in the trading chat that you're just like, that's the 13th pair. You know, like, yo, you've given me a Euro JPY chart, a CAD CHF, GVP, whatever, gold and oil and the, you know, Indian, whatever, and we got peso. There's always, you know, there's someone just wilding out looking at every chart under the sun, and you're like, I just trade NAS. And then you question yourself, like, should I be looking at more things in the market? You know, like what's going on? The czar, right? Yeah, Kevin Hernandez. That literally, I was literally thinking of you, Kevin. I'm like, this dude's got like 17 and a half charts up. Yeah, half a chart. He's wild. But here's the reality: is he has the time to manage it, right? It's part of his structure. It's part of his plan, right? He has a method to the madness, whereas you might not be that person. You might have children where you're like, I can give 1 hour to these markets. In that 1 hour, either we're getting this set up or we're not. And then that computer's closed, right? So you have to know yourself. And that's the journey, right? In a social trading environment, you want to be exposed to different approaches until you eventually choose kind of what works best for you. That's ultimately the end goal, because you're getting so many different perspectives, personalities, approaches. So you get to see, oh, okay, these people, you know, they trade New York Open, right? They when the markets, when the stock exchange opens, looks like they're trading these indices. Oh, that's cool. You know, small time frame. They're in and out really quickly. Oh, that's really cool. Or you have someone that, you know, maybe they're working 9 to 5. So they're trading the Asian session. So they're looking at the dollar pairs or the yen pairs and New Zealand pairs. And you're like, oh, you know what? That's kind of like my schedule. Maybe let me take a look at those charts. Let me ask them questions and how things work better for them. And so that's kind of what you want. You want to be exposed to those kinds of things and ask the right types of questions. Now, in a social trading environment, there's good feedback and bad feedback. And so I want you to kind of know who is giving you good feedback and know who's maybe they probably don't even know they're giving you bad feedback. Now, good feedback is where someone guides your thought process. So they're kind of positioning you to make your own decisions, to take your own choices, to experiment, but they are directing you so that you can make the right decisions, so you at least know what to think of, right? Good feedback is when someone corrects your specific technical analysis, when someone maybe just, you know, checks you on your psychology, on your greed, on the fears of the market. And that's good feedback, right? Someone that's, you know, you might be bummed out and because you missed an entry or you lost. Good feedback is when someone's just giving you clarity. You know, they're zooming out for you. Those are the kinds of things that you want to be that person in the chat too, right? You want to be that person in the trading rooms. Maybe you do these things in person. Someone that good feedback are people that remind you of your own trading plan. If you guys are every day when I'm streaming, I tell you guys every single, I said, and whenever we're in a trade and things are going our way or they're not, I always say, hey, look, remember what your exit is. Your exit might be a 2 risk reward. Now I am going to go for more because of my prior experience, because of my trading plan. But if yours is 2 risk reward, you need to get out there. And you really know you're disciplined when you're exiting at your level and not at mine. That's when you know you're like, all right, cool. I chose this exit strategy and I'm following this exit strategy. So that's good feedback. Those are the people that you want to be like, all right, these guys are looking out for me. Good feedback is when they're reminding you of your risk management rules, your risk to reward rules. Hey, your discipline. Hey, remember, you don't have to be a winner today. This is an infinite game, right? This is an infinite game. Now, what does bad feedback look like? These are a lot easier to spot. It's when someone tells you what to do. When someone's like, get in now, get out now. It's got to go up. It's got to go down. When people are speaking in absolutes, as if what they're saying is the law, the only possible outcome, careful, be very careful. And some of those people, they just don't even realize that they're doing that. But you need to understand this, that if you have a loud trader in the room, there's probably some type of insecurity or something that they're hiding. So there are such things as bad feedback. Now in the chat, I would love for you guys to let me know, what are some key examples of bad feedback for you? What are some things that you guys have experienced? So let's see here. What does something like that sound like? Can you let me know more of what you meant by that? I'm going through here. Let's see. Got to trust ourselves enough to drop the chart. 100%. You're the fastest way you're going to learn is by going through, like by doing that. The more you share, the better you're going to get. You're going to lose that kind of like uncomfortability in the charts. Let's see here. Lessons, never losses. I'm just going through some of the comments you guys have left here that I definitely did not answer in the beginning. I struggle with feeling judged on my trade markups, and it makes me feel ashamed to share charts sometimes. Okay, that's normal. Totally normal. I'm going to give you a kind of like your own ultimatum. It's either you share it and you get better, or you don't and you don't. Like either you share your charts, your skill sets get better faster, you're able to get on a pretty good path to get the results that you want, or you don't share them. And now the potential, we don't even know yet. You have no idea if you're going to get judged, but the possibility of getting judged is now paralyzing your progression. So what's more important to you? Getting the results that you want, or just not getting judged? And honestly, that's just super common. So it's okay. But sometimes when we give ourselves like these very black and white outcomes, it's like, you know what? Yeah, let me just, whatever, let me just share it, fuck it. All right, so great. All right, cool. Let me get to the present. It also helps to start with a small audience. Yeah, no, for sure. And you don't have to just throw yourselves into the wolf den and just be like, hey, here's a chat of 500 people. Hey guys, but here's the thing: if you do that, it can't get worse. It can't get worse. If you just throw yourself in, right? Throw yourself into the lines, then and you're like, hey, been doing this for 2 weeks. This is my chart. And then someone's like, oh, cool. Hey, look at it like this. Hey, have you learned this? Oh, this is in lesson 7. Oh, amazing. I wouldn't have known that, or it would have taken me much longer to get there. So there's really no downside other than maybe a little bit of pride, ego. But here's the thing. I feel like we get positioned so that our humility can be tested. And so I'm grateful for those situations, because that's where you realize like, yo, I'm just like everybody else. And I'll be transparent. Like one of the hardest things for me is being bad at things. Like I naturally I've been good at most things that I've ever just tried. So doing something where you're just not good at right away, it hurts the ego. It really is difficult. And it's like, damn, why is it so hard for me? Like, key example, drawing for me is just not it. We do not flow. So I never draw, and nor do I want to draw. But why? It's just because I'm not naturally good at it. So it would take quite a bit more for me to put myself out there and be like, hey, go draw in front of in front of people. I'd be like, oh, well, this is going to be terrible. But now, I mean, I've grown to laugh at myself, because once you start doing a lot of things that you're bad at, and then you realize, like, I don't know, you kind of get desensitized, and you're just willing to do so much more, and you're willing to have fresh experiences. In this case here, as in the trading environment, you're just going to get so much more perspective by just putting yourself out there. And so it is the best way to learn. And, if in the beginning you're a bit shy, that's okay. Someone, right, probably got you plugged into learning how to trade. So send them a chart, but you got to send somebody something, right? You have to share where you're at with somebody so they can take you to the next step. Because oftentimes we give up because we just don't know what the next step even is, because we just don't even know where we stand. So you want to know, where do I stand and where do I go next? Well, if you don't know either of those things, then there's a good chance that you're going to stop moving forward in the first place. Send somebody something. Yeah, send somebody something. Like, it doesn't matter who it is. That's my challenge for you guys today. Right? If you've never sent your chart in a chat, if you've never shared your chart analysis to anybody, anywhere, this is the day to do it. This is the day to do it. And you're going to thank me, because sometimes you just have to break through one little barrier. And then all of a sudden it's like, all right, it wasn't that bad. And I'm not going to tell you you're going to get a good response. They might tell you, like, yo, this is what are you doing? You might get that response like, yo, hey, all right, let's make sure you're learning from the right, like, you watching the right videos, like, that's okay. Look, I'm just telling you that, like, that's something I would say, just because I'm just like that. But here's the thing. One of my students that just got started 3 weeks ago, he sent me some charts, and they were amazing. I was like, dude, you've never traded before? He's like, no. I'm like, yo, whatever we're doing a good job. But realistically, he just ate up everything. Dude's been on for 8 hours a day. So I was mind blown. And guess what happens? When you share the work that you've put in with somebody else, that person is more willing to want to work with you. They're going to see, like, oh, you've been putting in the work. Like, let me help you. Let me show you more. Let me guide you. Let me give you more clarity. Let me give you attention. So if you're not communicating either, you can't get help, right? Closed mouths don't get fed, as we love to say around here. So guys, a couple last things here, and we'll wrap this one up. Doesn't have to be a long one today. If you feel like someone is or can influence your trading behavior, then you don't have your trading strategy down yet. If someone can influence you, then that means that you don't have enough confidence in whatever it is that you're doing yet. And so that might be okay, but if you're in the phase where now you're supposed to be testing out your strategy and you're still deviating from the path, stop it. You can't keep doing that. Otherwise, you're never going to really know what you're made out of. So for example, you're on my live sessions, guys, I'm just guiding you. Hey, here's where I would get in. Here's where I would get out. And if you've noticed, guys, throughout the last several years, I give you a framework. I give you a structure to follow. But at the end of the day, you might be more impatient than I am. You might be more patient than I am. So your exits might be different. I've taught you different ways to interpret the market. So your entry might be a little different. Where your stop loss goes might be a little different. The times that you trade might be a little bit different. What you trade might be different, and that's okay. But at the end of the day, you do have to get a point where you are no longer influenced. And the moment that you take a trade that goes against my trade, that's a big step in your journey. Massive step in your journey. And there's a few of you here that like, I'm taking a buy, and you're like, I'm gonna sell. And that's amazing. And the moment where you stay in yourself, when I'm taking a buy, that's when you know you have belief in what you're doing. And that's a big moment. Yeah, it'd be your own sometimes. It'd be the closest, be the ones closest to you sometimes, man. But it is really a sign of growth, of independence. And at the end of the day, that's what you need. You need to get the independence so that you can grow like that. When I have shared it with you or others, it has helped build on growing confidence because of the added confirmation. Exactly. Guess what? You could be right. You could be right. Your chart's amazing. And it's like, that's literally my chart. And you're like, I was tripping the whole time. And I literally had it right. I literally had it right. So guys, I hope this gives you more clarity on what to do. Remember, request feedback as much as possible from the right people until you have decided on your own trading strategy. Once you've decided on what you want to experiment with, then your only job is to get as much data possible to find out if those things are working or not. And guess what? Your plan might be different than mine, but if you have a specific plan, the best mentors are the ones that you bring your plan to, you show them your data, and they can basically show you, hey, this is what you're doing is really good for you. This is what you're doing can change. Because for me, my goal isn't for you to trade just like me. My goal is to get you to trade the best plan for you. And the right mentors, the right chat rooms, the right community are going to help you mold that. So appreciate you guys. Much love. And I'll send you guys this recording once it's done. Remember to stay disciplined.